Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel and welcome to a spring 24-hour readathon. It has been over 2 years since I did my last timer method 24-hour readathon, and I'm so keen to finally be bringing you guys one and doing one for myself as well. I have 3 days to accomplish this feat, and I am very, very determined to complete it in said 3 days because I only have 3 days off before I return back to work, and I'm a flight attendant, so my work tends to take me out of my house. I have quite the ambitious TBR, but you know what? I have a solid 24 hours worth of reading to do in the next 3 days, so I think that I can get through most of these, and I will remain in my delusion until proven otherwise. The first book on my TBR is A Stage Set for Villains by Shannon J. Spann. Now, this book intrigued me. I don't know where I saw it per se. However, it has a very unique setting, I feel like. It's set in what I assume to be a theater called the Playhouse, and there are these players who I assume are actors who are immortal, and there's a chance for a mortal to steal a player's immortality, and that's where Riven comes in, and she strikes a bargain. Now, the stakes are very high for Riven as she was recently cursed by a player and is slowly dying, so the immortality is very much so a necessary evil for Riven, and some romance ensues with the player that she strikes the bargain with as well. And it just feels like it's going to be a very fast-paced and interesting read, which is why I decided to put it on this TBR. I definitely tried to mix some like faster-paced books, or books that I would assume would be faster-paced, with some perhaps slower-paced books that I can enjoy interspersed as well. Next is The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. From what I've gathered from this book, we are following a knight, and she apparently made this huge sacrifice back during her time period, and then we are also following a historian who is sent back in time during heroic deeds. He is tasked with making sure that, I assume, she follows through with the plot that ends her life. However, he ends up, I assume, kind of falling in love and not really wanting this powerful, badass woman, I suppose, to die. So it's a little bit of like a time travel historic romance from what I can tell. And I'm not usually a big fan of time travel in books, but seeing how I don't think it'll be like, I feel like it's obviously like a major plot point is the fact that like he goes back in time, but I feel like it's not like the driving factor of the story being time travel, if that makes sense. I'm really picky when it comes to my time travel books, okay? So even though it has the time travel elements in it, I'm hoping it won't take away my enjoyment of the story. As I was setting the TBR, those two books were like the main two that I wanted, and then I was like, this isn't very spring-like. I feel like I need something that screams more spring. Therefore, I decided to pick up Anne of Avonlea. This is the second book in the Anne of Green Gables series. I recently read Anne last month, and I, unsurprisingly, absolutely adored it. And I can't wait to continue to follow Anne, especially how things left off in the first book. There was a lot of really sad happenings in the end of the last book and a pivot in Anne's life, let's just say. So I'm excited to follow on her new journey that she has embarked on. And my first experience with Anne, we followed throughout all of the seasons. And so I know that this book will probably be the same spanning over a time period, and it's not just like fully spring, but the cover does really scream spring vibes to me, and I thought it was the perfect excuse to continue the Anne series. As for my lofty manga goals, I want to read Gachi Akuta Volume 2, but what I really want to get through is about 8 volumes of Yona. I have volumes 11 through 17 checked out from the library, and while I'm not sure I'll get to all of the Yona volumes, I have had these checked out from the library for an embarrassing amount of time, quite frankly, and while none of them have been fined or overdue, I just feel really guilty holding on to these books for so long. I think it's high time that I finally make some progress through a decent chunk of these mangas. Will I read all 7 volumes in this vlog? I don't know. If you don't know what Yona is about, it is my best friend's favorite series, and thus I ended up picking it up. Didn't actually love the first volume, watched the anime, totally became obsessed, and now we're here. So we're following Yona, who is this young princess, and tragedy kind of befalls the kingdom that she's a princess in, let's just say, and she is on the run with her bodyguard Hawk, and they are currently traversing around trying to find four dragons of this prophecy and bring them together and just do good along the way. And I love Yona so much. She starts out as such a sheltered girl, and through her perils and adventures, her character development is so wonderful to watch. So if you haven't had the chance to read Yona, I definitely recommend either reading or watching the anime because it is a phenomenal experience, and the soundtrack for Yona is also stellar. Love it. And the other obsession that I've had lately is Gachi Akata. We follow Rudo as he is accused of murder and thrown into this giant trash pit off the top of this like floating island. And he was not the one who did the murdering, and he's trying to get back to the surface to figure out who did the murdering and why he was accused of said murder. But down in this trash pit, there are these trashed beasts, as well as an entire society of people, and there are magical abilities where if you care enough about an object, it imbues a sort of spirit and soul into them, and they gain powers. And we are following Rudo as he's learning about the world down below, as well as trying to control his powers. I am halfway through watching the anime, having a stellar time, and ready to read the manga, maybe like recap a little bit what's been going on with the anime, because it's been a couple months since I've watched the anime and I've yet to finish season 1. So, a little recap of the early days before getting into the thick of the story. Very, very exciting. I love picking up some manga, especially during a 24-hour readathon. They're really easy books to kind of fill in the spaces when your attention span starts to dwindle a little. I have a couple other like miscellaneous books on my phone as well. I'm hoping to get to Veronica Speedwell, A Grave Robbery. What is that, book 7, book 8? Something like, I think book 8? I don't know. I have a Veronica Speedwell book on my phone, as well as a romance book called Head Over Heels. I started it last night, and it follows a gymnast who got injured during the Olympic trials, and it kind of like stopped her entire gymnastics career very tragically, which is something that happens to a lot of people, unfortunately, and it's kind of following her regaining her sense of self after that, because also recently she got dumped from her boyfriend, and it's just bouncing back from that, refinding her love for the sport, and then an ensuing romance does happen. I'm only like 4 chapters in, and so far the writing is not like my favorite when it comes to a contemporary romance. However, being a gymnast myself, it is always really fun to read books that you can relate to, and there are just so many tidbits that unless you kind of grew up doing gymnastics, you wouldn't fully understand. So it's really fun to appreciate the setting and relate to a character. And even though we're not that many chapters in, I'm really keen to pick it back up. So don't know when I'll pick that up. It's another one of those books that are good filler books. Again, I don't have to think too hard while reading it, so I think when we get later into the readathon, I may be picking that one up as well. This should cover all bases for the 24 hours, but if not, we will pick those books when we get to that point. As I like to say, we'll burn that bridge when we get there. However, this morning I'm actually going to be heading over to a park nearby. I am not one for the outdoors. It is getting a little hot, so I need to like hurry up and get out of my house, but I want to just like go for a walk. I have like a little blanket. I want to sit down and start one of these books. I'm not sure which book I'm going to start with. It'll be whatever I can tolerate reading in the heat, and I will enjoy the outdoors. I think I have been lacking some sunlight in my life, so I'm literally using this video as an excuse to force myself out of the house and into nature. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead, walk around a little bit, do some reading, maybe listen to an audiobook, and just try to enjoy the outdoors. has reached 2.5 hours, and I have completed one book, that being a manga, and it was volume 11 of Yona. I love Yona so much. Oh my gosh, this one, stellar, stellar volume. There were so many really good moments between Yona and Hawk. There's like a little festival at the end as well that Yona got to perform in, and all I could think about was, thank goodness we're getting a season 2 of this manga, because I can't wait to see that animated. I think it's going to be phenomenal, and I hope it does make it into being animated. And every time I step away from Yona and come back, I forget like how much I love these characters, and their entire group dynamic is just so fun because each of the 4 dragons are just so unique in their varying ways and so fun. And I'm happy that I finally am back into it. I've got my momentum back, ready to pick up another volume. Very exciting. And then something else that was very exciting was starting Anne of Avonlea, which I ended up starting at the park, and it was so lovely. I did not want to leave. It just got a little toasty as the sun came out, and they were mowing as well, and I was like, guys, you're messing up the vibes. So if you see people in neon shirts in the background of any of my clips, they were the workers who probably saw me with my tripod, you know, as one does, because there's nothing more humbling than walking in a public park with a tripod. And, oh my gosh, this is once again the same thing as Yona. I honestly, like, it hadn't been, whoa. This is very similar to Yona in the fact that, although I haven't had that much separation of time between when I read Anne and when I have, like, returned to her, it's just like this warm, comforting feeling that you get reading these books. And seeing Anne at 17 as a teacher kind of deal with the same sort of mischief that she got up to in her youth, but turned back at her, where she has to be the disciplinary, is so entertaining because I just know she was like, I was not like that bad when I was younger, right? But even though Anne is technically older, she still has a little bit of her mischievous spark within her. I ended up making it to page 85, which is the start of chapter 10. I read for about an hour. Anne is determined to try to like freshen up the town, and they create this entire committee who is like bent on trying to repair some like rundown buildings and repaint some walls, things like that. And there was a mishap with the paint color, and I just love that Anne still has her absolute flair for the dramatics. And even in the very beginning of the book, she accidentally sold someone else's cow. And like, it's so fun to see her still be so silly and so very Anne-like, and yet recognize her mistakes because she is like older, obviously at 17. So it was a delightful experience. The weather was so nice this morning, and I was like, wow, the people that say go outside, get some vitamin D, they're onto something, because it honestly was the perfect way to start this readathon, and I need to do it more often. I also did end up spending about an hour reading Head Over Heels, and I'm on chapter 16, and I'm not having the best of times with this book. First 3 chapters, I thought, okay, not my favorite, but I can deal with it because I'm liking the gymnastics elements, and I don't know, I don't like the character work at all. I don't like the romance. The only thing that's kind of keeping me going is the fact that it's set in gymnastics. Like, that's the only thing, because any other romance book I would have absolutely DNF'd by this point. But I am determined to finish it just because I'm curious, mostly. I don't like either of these characters, Ryan nor Avery, and their romance is so juvenile. So they're both supposed to be like mid-20s, I think. And they're acting like they are idiot teenagers, quite frankly. They started working together, and then they ended up going out to like a New Year's party, and they kissed. Big gasp. And Avery decided to tell Ryan, hey, I don't think we should do this. We just started coaching together like 2 weeks ago, and I'm not sure how I can like separate being professional and like being a coach and working together with like all these feelings that I have for you, because they were like childhood crushes as well. It was the whole thing. Anyways, so Ryan's like kind of offended, but it's like, okay, cool, I understand, because they are training Hallie, who is like an Olympic hopeful, and they're privately training her one-on-one. So it's really important for them to like not be distracted and to like focus on Hallie, what have you. And then a couple weeks later, Avery invites Ryan over as friends. She's doing some cooking, and she's like, hey, do you want to come over? Whatever. It was a good time. You know, they had some good banter. They bonded. And then as they're walking to their car, Avery kisses Ryan. And then Ryan's like, whoa, we talked about this. We can't do this. You're going to be a distraction. And then she gets all offended. And I'm like, girl, he literally just threw everything you told him at the New Year's party back at your face. Because you were the one who established, hey, let's not do this. And then you were the one who broke your rule. And then you got offended when he was like, we talked about this. We're not going to do this. What are you doing? Only for them to then turn around and have sex in the gym. And I'm like, I don't care how many times those mats are clean. They're not ever truly that clean. Are you kidding me? Hundreds of little children's feet all over, and you're going to have on the mat in the gym? There are security cameras. What do you mean? What do you mean? Ew. Anyways, so I finished that chapter and I just had to put it down because I'm like, I need a separation from these two people because they drive me up the wall. They do not act like they're in their mid-20s and they're making really frustrating decisions in their conversations. Like, I swear they still don't even know that much about each other because we're getting every little like small talk moment and it's so awkward between the two of them. And I don't know if it's just how the author is like writing the dialogue. It just feels really like stiff and uncomfortable, or if that's just like how they are as people. I don't know, but it was going swimmingly until it wasn't. Actually, it didn't really start off that strong. There's also some heavier topics that reflect drama and real life circumstances that happened in gymnastics not that long ago on like a massive scale. And I don't know if I'm loving how these situations are being handled. I don't think the author has the skills to fully convey, I think, the messages that need to be conveyed. We'll see. Obviously, I'm only just about halfway through, it looks like. I'm reading it on Libby. We'll see. I'm not really holding out hope that this is going to become like a new favorite romance of mine. I'm honestly just hoping to get through it because I'm curious about how Hallie's journey on the Olympics goes and if she makes the team and kind of what happens from there. But I unfortunately have to take a pause from my reading. I have my very last drum lessons today, which is very sad for me, but I will probably cave and return to doing drums again after the summer, just with being a flight attendant and summer flying. It's kind of like hell, shall we say. So I just needed a break from things that are scheduled in my life. And so I decided to take a pause on the drums. However, I am going to go to my lessons. I actually have like 2 back-to-back today. So I have like an hour and a half. So I'm going to be gone for a good chunk of the day, which does not bode well for trying to make it to 8 hours for today. Because after I come home, I have a few hours and then I have to go to gymnastics practice, and then I'll have to come home and not read too late into the night and then go to bed. And I'm like, are there even 8 hours left that I'll have time to read? We'll see. The good news is though, tomorrow I don't have to go anywhere and I can start reading straight away when I wake up. So even though the park was really, really nice, really serene, it did take time for me to actually like drive out there and then walk out there and like find a spot to sit down. And it was a whole thing. It was really lovely though. I don't regret it at all. Anyways, I'm gonna go to drums, and then when I come back, I'm actually going to pop on an audiobook and do some journaling. I want to make a journal page for this readathon. I saw Katie do this and she like tracked like how many hours it took her to like complete each book and like made a little spread for it. So I'm going to do that when I come back. So I will see you then. afternoon. It is, in fact, the next day. I was going to update the vlog yesterday, or I guess last night. I ended up staying up until around 1:30 a.m. reading, and I almost made it to 9 hours before passing out. I did do a few hours of reading this afternoon, and my timer is at 9 hours and 39 minutes. Honestly, we are behind schedule. Even though I hit my 8 hours yesterday, it is already 4 o'clock in the afternoon because my day started way later than it was supposed to, but that's fine. I'm trying to be kind to myself because the whole point of this challenge was to just sit and read and to rest and to recharge. And me beating myself up about sleeping too much is not lending itself to the restful and rejuvenating spirit that this vlog is supposed to have for me. Should have known, because I haven't done gymnastics consistently in a while, like going to practices and like working out intensely for hours at a time. And I did that 2 days in a row. And I don't know how to be chill about anything. So I went full out and my body was like, hey, remember how you did that and then didn't get enough sleep the night before? Well, now you're going to catch up on all your sleep in one go. So that's what happened. But it's fine because yesterday I ended up doing a lot of reading. I finished volumes 12 and volume 13 of Yona, which was a wonderful time, unsurprising, as well as a very nice spot to stop before continuing on to volume 14. There was a big battle that occurred and it kind of spread out over these few books as like a nice little like arc, I would say. Absolutely have been eating these volumes up, you guys. So many golden moments between not only Yona and Hawk, but between the other dragons as well. And one of my favorite things about Yona too, especially when like they're all together as a group, is when they're having one conversation between two characters and when the rest of the group is in like a background of one of the panels, they're always doing something stupid and it's so funny. There's this little squirrel named Ao and he is constantly in like doing the silliest things with one of the characters or just looking really cute in one of the characters as well. So it's just been a really, really delightful time. And I do foresee myself reading a couple more volumes today as well. As you saw when I was journaling yesterday, I did start A Grave Robbery by Deanna Raybourn, which is book 9 of Veronica Speedwell. I did not realize that it was book 9. I thought it was book 7 or 8. No, I'm literally like right around the corner of catching up with Veronica Speedwell, which is very exciting, but also quite sad. I am on chapter 15, which is at the 49% mark of the audiobook and having a grand old time as well. I not only listened to this while I was journaling, I also did a little bit of crocheting last night and popped the audiobook on then. The narrator for the series is phenomenal, truly one of my favorite audiobook narrators. Her voice lends itself so well to these characters, and I find myself laughing at moments that perhaps I wouldn't have laughed at if I was just reading it myself, but with just how the audiobook narrator delivers the lines, I'm like, oh, perfection, love it. In this book, we are following, obviously, Veronica and Stoker, and they, of course, have disaster and death fall in their lap, as it so tends to do with the two of them. And this time they were delivered a wax doll, and it turns out that that wax doll is actually a human being inside of said wax figure. So they are on the hunt to figure out who this girl was, what happened to her, was her death purposeful, was it an accident? But let's just say Stoker's not really thrilled about having a body in his possession, and I don't know, the dynamic between Veronica and Stoker, I've loved throughout all the books, but there's been a couple misses for me where I feel like we don't get enough of their banter or enough of their interactions or enough of them grinding on one another's nerves. In this book, though, it has that balance. It has that balance, and I am loving it so much because I think the last one for sure was kind of a dud for me. I didn't really love A Sinister Revenge, but A Grave Robbery is definitely up there, which is shocking for me as well because I'm not usually one who enjoys the more like creepy aspects of books. I'm kind of a scaredy cat, kind of a wuss. Actually, not even kind of. I just am. So I didn't know if I would enjoy the like grave robbing and the atmosphere that Veronica and Stoker have been like put into at certain points of this book. However, I find myself just enjoying it, which is such a relief because I have very, very mixed feelings about a stage set for villains. I am on page 198, Act 2, scene, hang on, it's in Roman numerals, 6? 4? 11? Just short, oh my gosh, just short of halfway through. I feel like this book is like half-baked. There are so many interesting things that just feel super underdeveloped, And the problem is I'm not really connecting with any of the characters either, and that lends itself to be a very interesting story to get through. As I imagined, it is quite fast-paced with things just happening in rapid succession, and we're moving the plot along, but I feel like it's almost not moving fast enough, even though it is very, very fast. And I think it just has to do with the fact that everything feels underdeveloped. So, yes, we're moving very, very quickly, yeah, I'm still so confused about so many things. And Riven as a main character is so insufferable to be around as well. I understand that she was thrust into a situation sort of against her will, sort of not against her will. She's in a very perilous predicament, let's just say, where her life is on the line regardless of what decision she would have made. But she keeps throwing these temper tantrums that aren't like a cute, like, flirty banter between, like, her and Jude. They're just like temper tantrums, basically. Yeah, on the same token, she'll be like arguing with her older brother who's 22 and she's 18, being like, I'm only 4 years younger, like, I'm an adult. And I'm like, girl, you're not making a very good name for your supposed maturity. There's a lot of really interesting aspects at the Playhouse that, again, I want more answers to, and I understand that I do have to be patient and maybe we'll get some answers to them. I just feel like we've been left in a dark about a lot of things, and while so many things are happening, I feel like we have more questions than answers that isn't necessarily enough to keep me interested, but it's getting to the point where it's making me annoyed, where I don't have answers to so many things that have been brought up. I'm just kind of feeling about it. Jude, who is one of the main players who struck a bargain with Riven, he seems interesting, and yet we're not getting a lot of scenes with him to fully understand his character either. It's honestly giving me Kingdom of the Wicked vibes by Carrie Maniscalco. Their writing and the characters give me very, very similar vibes to those characters in King of the Wicked. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess we'll find out. But I do have plans to finish this today. I've got a lot of reading to go. 6 more hours, in fact. We'll see how late I stay up, though. Maybe I'll do the bulk of my reading come tomorrow. I am going to take a break and set down a stage set for villains because I don't want to, like, push myself to finish it when I'm not, like, fully into it, so maybe taking a minute away from the story will maybe have me revisit it later with like fresher eyes and maybe less cynicism as well. So I am going to pick up a volume of Yona, probably a volume of Gachi Akuta as well, and then depending on if the mood strikes me, perhaps I will pop my audiobook back on. Honestly, I am low on yarn. I've been working very, 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 very slowly on a granny square blanket, and I have a lot of squares made, not a lot of yarn left, and I just keep missing the sales for yarn. Every time the crocheting fancy strikes me, yarn is not on sale. So I'll have to wait till next week to buy yarn and see if I'm still in the mood to crochet. But in the meantime, I have a lot of ends to hide, and I think listening to the audiobook and, you know, weaving in some ends would also lend me well. But we'll see what I end up doing. I don't think I'll be able to update you anymore while it's sunlight outside. So the rest of the updates for the night will be probably in the dark. So I'm going to go eat and then do a little bit of reading of some manga, which honestly has been the best part of this vlog so far, is just binging through a bunch of manga. Much later now. In fact, it's like 2 in the morning, but Shut up. You're supposed to keep your presents a secret.
Sorry, it's funny.
It's a surprise. Anyway, it's 2 in the morning. I didn't make it to 16 hours, but I'm at 14 hours and 44 minutes. And we clearly have a guest with us.
Literally have a guest. It's me. Hello, everybody. I feel like it's been a long time since I said hello to your vlog. You may be wondering why I'm here. I decided I would stay up tonight and finish every single episode. I watched them all in one go of this 3rd season of Exo Kitty. Terrible. Guys, why was it so bad? You may be asking also, why did I finish it? I wish I had an answer to that question. Don't watch it. That's actually all I have to say.
But the good news is we stayed up together to suffer together. My reading tonight, also kind of a dud, but we'll get to that in a second because I know Katie wants to go to bed. I just knew that she was dying to talk to someone about Exo Kitty and
No, because like, why did I go to Reddit looking for people also talking smack and everybody was like, oh my god, I loved it.
questions we will never ever have answers to. I will let you say your adieus to the vlog, and I'm sure they appreciate your scathing Exo Kitty review.
Watch it if you're really, really bored. Yeah, like super bored.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Are you doing any more reading tonight?
God, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, I'm gonna try to wake up early. Sorry. I just like making jokes occasionally.
Let's get real. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna wake up early. I know you're gonna text me tomorrow like 12:45 and be like, I just woke up.
Listen. Maybe I'll do it out of spite. I'll fucking call you at 8 in the morning. Hey, bitch. You up?
I will be awake at 8 in the morning. Will you actually?
Bet. Well, that would be 7 in the morning for you.
Yeah, don't call me at 7 a.m. Please let me have my time.
Fine, I'll call you 8 o'clock your time, 9 o'clock my
I'll
time.
be waiting on it.
Yeah, you will. Either this is gonna be a really funny vlog clip, or I'm gonna be a liar.
Finish your update.
All right, I will.
Why are you procrastinating so much?
I'd rather
Guys,
talk to you than
okay.
update the vlog.
You just keep talking. I'm like, oh my god.
Jesus.
Let the call go.
All right, I love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night. All right, golly, chaos aside, I feel like I need to reiterate. I'm at 14 hours and 44 minutes, which, all things considered, we're only about an hour and 15 minutes away from making the goal of getting to 16 hours. However, don't think that's happening tonight, which is fine, because I don't think an extra hour to... These might be famous last words. I don't think an extra hour tomorrow will make that much of a difference. I might cave and do like 15 more minutes of reading just for I have that extra like solid hour to add and not the extra 15 minutes. We'll see. Katie will be back tomorrow as well, by the way. We're doing some sprints with her patrons tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. So be there or be square, even though this vlog will come out weeks after it happens. Okay, now to actually talk about books. We'll talk about the one that I did just finish, and that is A Stage Set for Villains. This is one of those books that had so much potential and then ultimately just lets you down. Super cool concept. There's this huge plot twist, plot reveal, what have you, and then all the things, all the complaints I've been having all sort of start clicking together and making a little bit more sense. However, the execution of said plot was so poorly done. So poorly done. And it annoyed me because it was such a cool concept and had such potential, yet everything about this book felt so flat and half-baked and underdeveloped, from the characters to the world to the big reveal that was said. Still, lots of unanswered questions about how what was going on actually worked. There is a market for people, I think, that will really enjoy this book. I think it's definitely an ode to the theater. If you're an actor or a fan of the theater, it definitely seems to be an ode towards that. And it has some small moments between characters that I do really enjoy. But the problem is so many of these characters are so bland that they tend to just bleed into one another, and they don't have very distinguishing personality traits between all of them. It very much so is just like blank slate talking to blank slate doing this action. Riven as a main character, you guys, was so annoying. And then when the thing happens, she's still so annoying. Overall, I think I'm more disappointed than I typically would be just because it had such a uniquely refreshing concept. Yet again, the execution fell short, and I feel like there should have been a lot more rounds of editing and tightening up the story and fleshing out the characters to make them more likable, characters that you could actually like be invested in for when the situation that occurs, you can actually feel for them. Basically, all the cool things, all the tragedies, all the things that were happening, I was like, wow, I wish I cared, but I didn't. So I'm like teetering between like a 2.75 and a 3 just because it had a lot of cool moments. But again, disappointing. What hasn't been disappointing though is my continued read of Anne of Avonlea. I have now made it, I didn't make it like that much further. I'm on page 124. I don't really have much else to say about this that I didn't say already earlier. I continue to enjoy it. Spring has sprung in Avonlea. L.M. Montgomery knows how to write some gorgeous nature descriptions and just makes you feel like you're there in Avonlea and experiencing walking the same path that Anne does. And for that, I love her. And then, what do I want to talk about? We'll intersperse this with, we have one more disappointing read, but you know what's not disappointing? Yona. Yeah, I binged 4 additional volumes after volume 14, or I guess 3 additional volumes after 14. And you know what? If I had more, I would have binged more. This would have become a Yona reading vlog, and I would have said nothing more except for how much I'm having a blast with this series, because the arc that occurs in volumes 14, 15, and 16 are some of my favorite. Peak Yona, absolute peak Yona. Oh my gosh, chapter 91. If you know, you know. One of my favorite, just because it crushed my soul and made me feel all of the emotions. And I have such mixed feelings about the character that was in that scene as well. I still have such mixed feelings about his character, and it's so cool to have these mixed feelings because you shouldn't have mixed feelings, but I do. I'm torn. It's fine. I think something that Yona does really well is its supporting cast of characters are just as fun as its main cast. Obviously, we love Yona, we love Hawk, we love all of the dragons, but in this particular arc, there's a character named Lady Riri, and I ended up really, really loving her story. Even though I wasn't like a huge fan of her character when we first met her, I was like, interesting, how am I gonna feel? And yet by the end, oh my gosh, I'm like, yes. All the moments that Lady Riri and Yona had together, and her looking up to Yona, even though they're like in similar age and sort of ish in like similar positions, or like were in similar positions. So good, you guys. So freaking good. And it's just so refreshing to dive into a story where I don't really care what character we're following or what we're talking about. I'm just in it because I just love to see what they're up to. It doesn't even matter what they're up to, whether the story progresses forward or not. I'm just excited to be in the Yona universe, and I did, in fact, request a bunch more volumes from the library so I can pick them up. However, I may have requested a little bit too close to the sun because the library website kept blocking me from requesting more titles, and it was like, error, there's a problem with your account. And I think it's because I requested too many volumes, but I think it's fine. Oh, also, one more. I lied. One more before I talk about my disappointing gymnastics book. Gachiakuta, Volume 2. Fun. Fun time. Once again, refreshing my memory on things that I have already witnessed in the anime. One of the funniest scenes that I could not stop laughing at was when Rudo grabs a toilet plunger and starts fighting one of the characters with the used toilet plunger. And it's so disgusting, but it's so funny. And how the panels were drawn, immaculate. We also meet my favorite character, which is Rio. She has the coolest character design, you guys, because she's such a cool girl. She's such a cool girl. She's one of those girls that you're like, dang, like, if I dressed like that and I acted like that, I would be cool. But I'm not. That's her lounging about. And her hair's like, it's so cool. And when I see Rio cosplayers, I fangirl a little bit. I'm like, yes, you did so good with the wig. Yes. Giant scissors as a prop. Hello. Yes. Anyways, so fun time. I do want to say though, with Gachiakuta, definitely not a manga for everyone. It has a lot of fighting, it very much so. It's like an action manga, so if you're not really into that, it probably won't be your scene. And you can kind of tell from volume 1 and volume 2 whether or not this is going to be the manga for you. Yona and Gachiakuta, very, very different. There are obviously similarities in the fact that like there's fighting in both and that sort of thing, but very much so. Action heavy, a little on the darker side as well. And I think I've already shown you some panels of like the darker art style, which is so outside of what I typically like, but I don't know. They do it so well. I'm just absolutely obsessed with the art style. Okay, honestly, I'm kind of getting tired of talking because it's going on to being 2:30 in the morning because I yapped with Katie for like 10 extra minutes than I should have, which is fine, but I don't really want to talk too much longer. So, head over heels. I was not head over heels for, shockingly. 2 stars. This terrible book. I meant to actually update you earlier. I finished it last night, actually, and it was so bad that I promptly forgot about it and didn't even talk to you about it. Terrible ending. It was one of those not terrible ending. It was just like terrible overall. The ending wasn't like bad per se. It was just like the whole book was bad. It was definitely one of those books that felt like it wanted to do 2 different things at once and then managed to muck up doing both of those things. It was trying to be both a romance as well as almost, I don't know how to put this lightly. It mirrored a lot of real world circumstances that happened with the abuse in gymnastics. And as I feared, the author was not skilled enough to have those things done in a manner that felt like it was doing justice to the things that have happened in real life. Instead, it felt like it was just inserted in to have in the story, and I feel like it wasn't given the grace and attention that it needed to have. I wish that it would have either, again, focused more on those elements, making them more a prevalent part of the story versus just a footnote to be added in, or just made it completely a romance book. Because that's the other thing. The romance in this romance book sucked. These people who are not in their mid-20s, they're in their late 20s, I can't do math, apparently, act like silly little teenagers. And also, oh my gosh, you guys, and like spoilers if you care, I don't even remember these characters' names. Oh, it's been a minute, hold on. I feel like it's Kat and Jacob. Ryan. I don't remember her name is Kat though. Hold on. We're gonna say it's Kat. If I'm wrong, I talked about her earlier, so it's fine. Doesn't even matter. We've moved on from this book. Kat tells Ryan, okay, hold on. I gotta give you some context. Ryan, he's a coach, right? And Kat's old coach, I don't remember his name at all. I'm not gonna look it up. Let's just call him Steve. Steve, it's definitely not Steve. It's some Russian name. Steve is basically trying to get Ryan in coaching at his gym to work under him and bring Hallie, the potential Olympian, in with him at this gym. Ryan has idolized Steve for so many years and is like head over heels about this opportunity. Now, Kat used to train with Steve. She knows how abusive Steve is. And Kat tells Ryan, hey, I'm starting to think her name is not Kat. Anyways, Kat tells Ryan, hey, you should not work for him and you should not bring Hallie over to coach under him. It's a bad idea. I was abused as a child. He called me all these things. He did all of this. It's not a good situation to put Hallie in, and it's not a good situation for you to be coaching in. And this man looks at her and goes, well, he's just like an old school coach. You know, he's just like that. I'm sure he has some off days. And mind you, they're dating at this point. They are dating at this point. And your girlfriend tells you, hey, don't work for this abusive man. He abused me as a child. And he goes, yeah, well, that's just how it is. You know, he's just tough. It was just tough love. Yeah, they broke up after that, but the fact they got back together and the fact that like the grand gesture that Ryan made to get Kat back was Ryan donating to a foundation that Kat formed. So you bought her back. That's what I'm getting out of this. Anyway, terrible. Don't read it. I gave it 2 stars. Yeah, I enjoyed some of the gymnastics elements. Again, I liked the atmosphere of it being set in a gym and following coaches, and it just made me very like nostalgic, which is funny because like I'm doing gymnastics again, but still it kind of made me nostalgic for a time when I really was like a gym rat. Compared to how I am now. Like I do train a lot less and have like a life outside the sport, but it's still just one of those sports that really does like consume your every waking moment. And so, I don't know, it made me a little nostalgic. Had a few moments that I, was like, oh my gosh, love this. And then half the time I'm like, actually, am I having a good time? I don't think so. But I feel like I have torn that book to shreds enough, so I will be going to bed, even though now that I've like worked myself up over talking about all of these updates, I don't feel tired anymore. Maybe I'll pop on an audiobook and do a little bit of crocheting and weaving in some ends. Honestly, weaving in some ends will probably put me straight to sleep. So maybe that's the plan. I'm a little too heated for it being 2:30 in the morning now. So I just need to bring myself back down, do a little crocheting, calm down a bit, and then go to bed. And I will definitely see you in the morning. I have reading sprints, like I said, with Katie. So I will be finishing my TBR for sure. I'm not sure what else I'll be reading and if that will take me for the 8 hours remaining tomorrow, but we'll burn that bridge when we get there. All right, we finished sprints.
Woo!
How did sprints go for you?
I read 30 pages on the 4-hour sprints.
I finished Anne, which we will talk about shortly, so success on my end at least. Oh, I'll zoom in on the cat. Hang on, let me get in there. Look at the Lego cat. This is the exclusive behind-the-scenes Katie's reading content that you can expect from her Patreon, so you should go join up.
Oh, yeah.
Join the tomfoolery. That is what they
Personally,
say.
I don't think it's a cult, but wouldn't a cult leader say that?
True.
Enjoy the rest of Cass's vlog.
2 more hours to go.
Down below. I know she's just gonna read Yona for the next 2 hours. I know that's what she's gonna do.
Bye. As you saw, I did not only wake up early, but I also spent most of the day, if we're being quite honest, reading on some sprints with Katie, which was wonderful. And the timer is now at 22 hours and 12 minutes, which is wonderful. And I also got wonderful news that I do not go on call at 4 in the morning tomorrow. I go on call at 2 in the afternoon, which means I can finish this readathon tomorrow morning. Or I could do some reading tonight. However, the everlasting, you guys, I wanted it to happen. I really did. I'm on chapter 2. I started it. But I'm getting to the point in this readathon where I've realized that I've read in 3 days for 22 hours. And I'm getting a little fatigued, and I don't want to force myself to read a book that I think I'll really enjoy when I just need a moment away from some novels. That will still probably be my next read. It just won't be in this readathon vlog, which is fine. I have come to accept it. I tried, you guys. I was staring at the words, and the words were staring back at me, and then there was nothing going on in my head, and I was like, ooh, perhaps we've hit the wall that I was dreading. However, luckily, we did finish. By we, I mean me. I did finish Anne of Avonlea. I gave it a solid 4 stars. I didn't quite love it as much as the first one, but there were so many cute little moments. And one of my favorite, I've put out a lot of little roots these 2 years and Told the Moon, and when I pulled up they're going to hurt a great deal. But it's best to go, I think. And as Marilla says, there's no good reason why I shouldn't. I must get out all my ambitions and dust them. And I just felt that so much, especially when it comes to moving. I've moved quite a few times these past few years, both willingly and unwillingly as well. And each time I do have to, leave people behind. Regardless, moving away always does hurt. And just the way Anne phrased it was so eloquently put that it kind of made me realize that, well, you always can grow roots in one place. It doesn't hurt to move, like, yes, it'll hurt for a while, but you can, grow roots in new places. Unbelievably excited for the third book because things are happening. Anne is going off to college, and I am delighted. Delighted, let me tell you, because the last, paragraph of this book, or, the last couple pages, we may be getting a little romance come the next book. Let me just put it like that. And I am so excited because it's been sort of hinted at, and Anne is finally kind of to that age where I do believe romance is in her future. A nice, solid 4 stars for Anne of Avonlea. I'm so, so delighted I read this. And honestly, I read it a lot quicker than I thought I would. We'll see how long it takes me to procrastinate reading the next Anne book, but less than a month span between when I first read the first book of Anne versus the second, so we're not doing too bad. Speaking of other phenomenal books, though, A Grave Robbery, Deanna Raybourn, stellar job, 5 stars. So exciting. I love when I have a 5-star read in the Veronica Speedwell series. I only have 2 other 5-star reads, and that is book 3 and book 6. Kind of a crazy opinion to have because most people don't really love book 3, but they love book 4, but then I wasn't a fan of book 4, and I got some blasphemous comments over that fact, and for that I apologize, but it's just the truth. I cannot believe I am 1 book away from being caught up, and the fact that this only came out, in March, literally last month, so I'm not that far behind of being behind in the Veronica Speedwell series. And I'm sad I'm catching up because I want more time spent with Veronica and Stoker, and I might have to do a reread at some point later this year of my favorite books just to get more of them because it's been something that Katie has talked about for years, loving them, and then I finally have picked them up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love them, and now we're kind of ending that era. Before I let you go, I did also want to show you this very satisfying pile because this is what I spent the morning doing while listening to Miss Veronica Speedwell. Look how satisfying this stack of granny squares are with all their ends nice and tucked away. I'm so excited. This is kind of like the color combo that's happening. We've got the nice tans and dark browns. I'm not even that far into this project. It's a looming project, quite frankly, but I think I'll make a little journal page, have some little check boxes I can color in as I go, for I have that satisfaction of a job well done, and also try to keep me motivated because I would love to finish this before the fall. So it's a nice summer project, albeit not very summery colors, but a project nevertheless. Like Katie briefly mentioned, I think the last 2 hours will be filled with some Yona. I think I'm gonna cave and read them digitally, even though it's not my favorite experience. I just need more Yona in my life. And all I can think about is how much I want to read Yona. So that will probably happen. That's so many volumes of Yona to binge in 3 days as well. However, I'm gonna leave that for tomorrow morning because if come tomorrow morning I feel a little rejuvenated, ready to, dive into some more words on a page, I might pick up a little bit of the Everlasting, so I will take a pause for the reading for the rest of today, and I will allow myself tomorrow to make that executive decision of how I'm feeling in terms of my reading. But the next little clips you will see are from some gymnastic practices that I had just because I got my Giants back, which was very, very exciting, and I wanted to document it and have it in my vlog for posterity's sake as well, and the fact that I'm just really proud. I want to share this big skill that I finally got back. And yeah, I will see you after those little bits of gymnastics, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning to also wrap up the vlog and make it to my 24 hours. Shockingly, I did not cave to reading more Yona volumes. I know. Even I was shocked. However, I just didn't really want to sit and read. I really wanted to listen to an audiobook, and as I was perusing Katie Nye's shared Audible account, I came across the fact that she had the Warbreaker audiobook, and I've been wanting to do a reread of Warbreaker for a couple years now. This was my very first ever Brandon Sanderson book, and there was much about this book that I don't remember, but I do remember enjoying, and especially now that I'm more familiar with the Cosmere, I'm really hoping I can spot more Easter eggs that I may have missed the first go around. I'm on chapter 11, which is actually a lot further than I thought. So I'm on page 115. Like I said, I've been listening to it exclusively on the audiobook, and I love being back in this world. The magic system, as per usual when it comes to Brandon Sanderson books, is very unique. People have a certain number of breaths that they get from color as well, and they use those breaths to control objects. Basically, you can like suck color out of an object and like imbue it into something else. I feel like that's a really poor way of explaining such a cool magic system, but we've got some really cool characters in here and a lot of interesting political maneuverings happening as well, which is another reason why I enjoy it so much. There is war brewing on the horizon, and a daughter is sent to kind of marry the God King, who is known to be this horrible, evil man, essentially, or I guess God in this case. And the sister that was supposed to be sent was not sent. Instead, they sent the younger daughter. And so Ciri is sent off in this world that she is unfamiliar with, since this was not supposed to be her duty. Then we have Vasher as well with Nightblood, the talking sword, any inanimate object that speaks, I'm gonna eat up, okay? Talking boats, talking swords, give it to me all. I love it. We also follow in the POV of Lightsong, who is a god who basically died but has been reborn, and every week he has to basically get breaths in order to sustain himself, to stay alive. And there's bits and pieces of this book that I recall. However, there's a lot that I've just forgotten in the many years that it's been since I've read the book. So I'm so delighted to be returning to Warbreaker, and I'm hoping that this will kind of give me the jump start that I need to hop into Rhythm of War, because I've been slowly making my way through the Stormlight archives throughout the years. While listening to the audiobook, I ended up starting a bunch of granny squares. Look at all of this progress. Doesn't actually look like much progress, but it felt like a lot of progress, and it's been really fun. I have yet to run any yarn quite yet, but I'm nearing that point. Like I said, a few more days and then I can go buy all the yarn till my heart's content. But in the meantime, this readathon has, as you can see, come to an end. We have made it to 24 hours. I didn't know if I was going to be able to make it through those last couple hours, but luckily with Warbreaker, I was able to get through it. Man, did we do a lot of reading in this vlog, and I am so bloody thrilled about it because I am fully embracing my Yona era. It has been delightful, quite frankly, and obviously Gachiakata Volume 2 as well. Pretty much 5-starred all of these. However, volumes 14, 15, and 16, this contains my favorite arc, which is the Water Tribe arc. I think I briefly spoke about it already, but peak arc. So many things are happening, and then we did start a new arc in volume 17, which some questionable things are occurring right now, and it has me very stressed. This is honestly such a phenomenal series. I'm really enjoying all of the characters, all of the mixed feelings I have about certain characters, as well as the politics surrounding the world as well. So I cannot wait for my library to hurry up and get me some more volumes before I can read them. We also had Anne of Avonlea, which was a solid 4 stars for me. I'm so excited for the third book, not only because it has such a phenomenal cover, but romance is on the horizon. So exciting. We also had a stage set for villains. Kind of my most disappointing read of the vlog, I would say. But you know what? They all can't be winners. Someone had to make a sacrifice, and a stage for villain was that dud. A grave robbery. 5 stars. So many 5 stars in this vlog. So exciting. And then we actually had 2 duds in this vlog. I'm such a liar because Head Over Heels was also a dud. I am super content. I cannot express to you how much fun I had making this vlog and just relaxing and reading and turning off my brain from work and just enjoying the gorgeous spring days that we've had here in Florida. Please feel free to let me know what you have been up to as well as what you have been reading, and I really hope to see you in my next one. Toodles!